Let's start our discussion. Uh, Now, a very important thing we want Fourier integral and Fourier transform. Now, first we start with our conventional Fourier series, which is applied to a periodic signal. Now, if xt is a periodic signal, okay, whose fundamental angular frequency is omega 0, then according to complex exponential form of Fourier series, we can write summation fn bar e to the power j n omega 0 t, n varying from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, where fn bar equal to 1 by t0 integration minus t0 by 2 plus t0 by 2 xt e to the power minus jn omega 0 t dt. Now, if you see our last day's discussion, we'll see that fn bar actually it starts with any initial time, small t0, but we have to complete one time period, one cycle. But today, in that expression, we are not using small t0. We are using minus t0 by 2 to plus t0 by 2. Why? Because we want to take the entire time span symmetrically such that 50% time will be in the negative side, negative time axis, and 50% time will be in the positive time axis. Why? Because t equal to 0 is totally an arbitrary time instant. With respect to the observer, the t equal to 0 time is defined. Now, observer can start observing any phenomena anytime. So, there is no guarantee when the observer will start its observation. So, it's better that we take the duration such that 50% time will be from the negative time axis and 50% the positive time axis. Then systematically and symmetrically, the entire time span will be covered. And that's why it will be always from minus t0 by 2 to plus t0 by 2 in our subsequent discussion. For periodic signal, it really not essential because same cycle repeats. Therefore, we can start with any initial time. But for non-periodic signal, since it is not periodic, okay, that 50% coverage of time span from either sides of the time axis is very much important. Now today, although we have started discussing a periodic signal xt that can be expressed in terms of complex exponential form of Fourier series, okay, but our objective is to extend this discussion to a essentially non-periodic in nature. So therefore, so we write, so we can, so now we just proceed a little bit here. Here xt is periodic here. Okay, it is a periodic signal. So periodic. Now, again, one more thing you see that if n, wherever we get n, we get omega 0 along with the n. So here n and omega 0, they exist side by side. Here n into omega 0, they exist side by side. So they are combined together. Therefore, we can say that our fn bar, it is not only a function of n, it is a function of n omega 0. So we can write it f n omega 0 bar. Here n is what? 0 plus minus 1 plus minus 2. This way we can write. So, but here our n omega 0 will be, it will be 0 plus minus omega 0 plus minus 2 omega 0. This way we can write. So we can write it therefore f n bar, actually it is a function of not only n, it's a function of n omega 0 in a combined form. So everywhere n omega 0 t it is existing. Okay. And here we can write n omega 0 equal to minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay. So now if we plot, okay, fn versus n, fn or fn omega 0 magnitude, versus n and a omega 0. What will get? It will be, say, sum f0. Okay. So we are getting different, okay, lines. So 0, okay, it's 1, 2, here 0, omega 0, 2 omega 0, somewhere 3 or 3 omega 0. Okay, here also -1, -2, -3. In the n axis, in n omega 0 axis, it is minus omega 0, -2 omega 0, -3 omega 0. This way we can get. Okay, and the phase spectrum, it will be alpha n or alpha n omega 0. It is n, so it is something like 0, 1, 2, 3. In the n omega 0 scale, it will be omega 0, 2 omega 0, 3 omega 0. Okay, so you can write it -1, -2, -3. In n omega 0 scale, it will be minus omega 0, -2 omega 0, -3 omega 0, this way. Now, what is the spacing? Say delta omega. That is the adjacent frequency spacing. It is always equal to our delta omega is equal to omega 0. So it is the spacing of adjacent terms. Spacing of adjacent terms. It is delta omega, which is equal to fundamental frequency. So higher is the fundamental frequency, more will be the spacing of adjacent term. Smaller is the fundamental frequency, less will be the spacing between adjacent term, and all the frequent discrete line spectra, discrete lines will come closer to each other. When omega 0 is small, all the adjacent lines will come closer to each other because delta omega will be small. Change in frequency will be small. Okay. So therefore, we can write delta omega equal to omega 0, which is equal to 2 pi by T0. Okay, these are there. Now, for a non-periodic signal, we know the signal does not repeat at all. The signal does not repeat at all. In other words, we can say that the signal repeats after infinite time. The signal repeats after infinite time. So the time period of a non-periodic signal tends to be infinity. So when a signal does not repeat, it means it repeats after infinite time. So time period is tending to be infinity. Okay. Therefore, and the frequency spacing between adjacent harmonics is delta omega, that we can write it d omega. Basically, it tends to 0, or it is infinitesimally small amount. Okay, it is infinitesimally small. Okay. Then what is our n omega 0? Our n omega 0 is n into delta omega. Now delta omega is so small now for a non-periodic signal, it is indistinguishable. It is indistinguishable for different n. For different n. It means, say, I can give you one example. Okay. Say illustration is what? Say just I want to illustrate. Illustration. Let our omega 0 or delta omega equal to 10. Therefore, what is n omega 0 or n into delta omega? It is 0 plus minus. Now omega 0 is 10. 10 plus minus 20 plus minus 30. So what is the delta omega? So delta omega is simply 10. That is the gap. Now let our omega 0 equal to delta omega is 0.01. Therefore, n omega 0 or, okay, n delta omega, it is what? 0 plus minus 0.01 plus minus 0.02 plus minus 0.03. So our delta omega is what? 0.01, very, very small. So in the limit when delta omega tends to 0, so when delta omega tends to 0, n delta omega, so n delta omega, it will vary so closely with its previous terms that it will vary in a continuous manner. So n delta omega, okay, varies in a continuous manner. Okay. So in delta omega, because our delta omega is very small, it will vary in a small step, extremely small step. So n delta omega will vary in a continuous manner. So therefore we can say, now I go to the next page, page number 2. Therefore, n delta omega will approach a continuous variable omega. It will approach a continuous variable omega. Therefore, for a periodic signal, that is non-periodic signal, what we can write? Xt equal to summation. Now n omega 0 will approach. So n omega 0 or n delta omega will be varying continuous manner and will be replaced by the variable omega. So therefore you see here we are getting n omega 0 will be replaced by a continuous variable omega. That will be replaced by a continuous variable omega. And this will also be replaced by a continuous variable. Clear? So ultimately we can write it that xt equal to f omega bar e to the power j omega t, where omega is varying from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay. Minus infinity to plus infinity. And what is f omega bar? Actually, this one, f omega bar is equal to, we can write it is equal to 1 by t0 integration minus t0 to t0 by 2, minus t0 by 2 to plus t0 by 2. It is xt e to the power minus j omega t dt. Okay. So that thing can be written as, now we know omega 0 equal to 2 pi by t0 equal to omega 0 means delta omega. Therefore, we can write our this way. Therefore, 1 by t0 is what? 1 by t0 is delta omega by 2 pi. So 1 by t0, we can write it delta omega by 2 pi. It is minus t0 by 2 to plus t0 by 2. xt e to the power minus j omega t dt. We can write it that particular way. Okay. So this is our f omega bar, this particular expression. Now what we will do, we will substitute this term f omega bar in the expression, this particular. Therefore, so we can write our xt equal to summation omega equal to minus infinity to plus infinity. Now f omega bar is replaced by that one. So it is delta omega by 2 pi integration, just substitution. Okay. So this particular thing, we can write it. It is f omega bar into e to the power j omega t. The substitution of f omega bar. Now we rearrange the whole thing. We take 1 by 2 pi outside. Summation. Okay. So we can write it then integration minus t0 by 2 to plus t0 by 2 xt e to the power minus j omega t dt, then e to the power j omega t. Okay, we are writing that way into delta omega. Just delta omega is taken in that right side. Here. Now we see that as our t0 tends to infinity, okay, xt becomes non-periodic. So xt becomes non-periodic. Okay, non-periodic. Okay, and delta omega tends to d omega, and summation sign it tends to integration, because summation is used only when the variable is discrete in nature. But as delta omega tends to d omega, varying continuously therefore, or infinitesimally small amount, then our summation sign will be replaced by integration, because integration is the summation in continuous domain. Therefore, we can write our xt equal to 1 by 2 pi. Now we can write integration minus infinity to plus infinity. Then also we can write integration minus infinity. Now t0 tends to infinity, minus infinity to plus infinity. xt e to the power minus j omega t dt. Then e to the power j omega t d omega. Okay. So we can put a third bracket here. This one. Now, so we start with xt, integrate it with respect to t. Once we integrate it with respect to t and put the limits for t, it will not be a function of t anymore. Once we put the limit, it will be a function of j omega only, a function of frequency for the inner integral. Now, once it is a function of frequency, and now we integrate it with respect to omega, the frequency term, and put the limits for the frequency, then there will have no frequency term. It will be a function of t only. So we start with xt and ends with xt. So this is an identity. So this is called Fourier integral. Fourier integral of the non-periodic signal. Fourier integral of non-periodic signal. Clear? So the inner thing, after substitution of t with the limits, it will be a function of j omega. And when the function of j omega is integrated again with respect to omega, then that t will be returned finally after integration. So we start with xt and ends with xt. So that is called the Fourier integral. That one. So the whole thing can be written, okay, in another way. Just I'll write it in the next page, page number 3. So page number 3. Therefore, we can write xt equal to 1 by 2 pi integration minus infinity to plus infinity. The inner integral is a function of j omega. We write it with a capital X. Okay, capital X. And this is what it is. We write it capital X j omega, then e to the power j omega t d omega. So e to the power j omega t d omega, and our x of j omega is called what? It is what? It is integration xt e to the power minus j omega t dt. So it is what? This operation is called, that operation is called, that integration, this type of integration is called the Fourier transform of xt. And that operation is called the inverse Fourier transform of x j omega. So in the Fourier transform of xt, once we know xt, a time domain function, we will convert it into a frequency domain transfer, frequency domain function. So it means what? It is actually time to frequency conversion. And for the inverse Fourier transform, it is what? It is actually a frequency domain function converted to a time domain function. So it is frequency to time conversion. So it is called Fourier transform. Fourier transform. And inverse Fourier transform, inverse Fourier transform is that one. Inverse Fourier transform is that one. Clear? So this is our, so that is this particular thing. Now once we know xj omega, okay. Now xj omega, you see it is a complex quantity because some e to the power minus j term is there. Okay, so it is a complex quantity. Okay, so but our xt can be real, can be complex, but xj omega is in general a complex quantity. Okay, in general a complex quantity. Now if we plot mod of xj omega versus omega, what happens? Actually, when our omega is coming closer and closer, say if we plot our original spectrum like that, okay, say fn f n omega 0 versus omega 0. Say if we are plotting it versus this way, something like for a non-periodic signal, this way, non-periodic signal. Now when it is coming closer and closer, what will get? So this is our delta omega. Now when our delta omega tends to 0, what will happen? For a non-periodic signal, it will be a continuous variable. So it will be there and something like that pattern will be found. When delta omega, that is a frequency spacing, tends to 0 for non-periodic signal. For non-periodic signal, and that is for periodic signal. Then our mod of xc omega is actually coming from that. So it will be something like this one. So it is called the magnitude spectrum or amplitude spectrum. Magnitude spectrum or amplitude spectrum of xt. Magnitude spectrum or amplitude spectrum of xt. Clear? Mod of xt omega. It's a continuous variable there. And what's about our alpha omega versus omega? Okay. Alpha omega, okay, we write it as some, okay, phi omega actually. Phi omega here. In general, what is our alpha n omega 0 versus omega 0? So it is something like that expression. So this is our delta omega, frequency spacing. So it is for periodic signal. For periodic signal. But when it becomes a non-periodic signal, then it will be a continuous variable, alpha omega. So they will come closer and closer. So this way it will be something like, so it is for non-periodic signal. Non-periodic signal. Clear? Non-periodic signal. So if we plot it that way, so it is actually our something pattern. The pattern can be anything, it's not important. So it is called phase spectrum. So it is our phase spectrum of xt. And together they called, together they are called frequency spectrum or spectra in plural form of xt. So for a given time domain signal xt, for a given time domain signal xt, for a given time domain signal xt, how the frequency contents are distributed, how the magnitudes are distributed for different frequency contents, and how the phases of those frequency terms are distributed, okay, for those particular frequency terms within the signal xt. So that representation is given in the frequency spectrum of the signal. Okay. But one thing is that can we say that for any non-periodic signal xt, we can find out its frequency, Fourier transform? No, not for every non-periodic signal we can apply Fourier transform. The signal must satisfy a set of conditions. If these conditions are satisfied, then only we say yes, we can apply Fourier transform to that particular non-periodic signal. So let's summarize these conditions. Page number 4. Okay, page number 4. Okay. So that condition is called Dirichlet condition, exactly in a similar way that we already came across in our previous discussion of Fourier series. Dirichlet conditions. It is actually the conditions for the existence of Fourier transform of non-periodic signals. Clear? This one. Now, what is the condition? Condition number 1. Okay. The signal xt must be absolutely integrable. Absolutely integrable. Okay. That is integration of mod of xt dt minus infinity to plus infinity less than infinity. Okay. It means it is not the part of the, it is not formally the part of the Dirichlet condition, but it is a consequence of that. It means that the signal xt must be an energy signal. Because once it is an energy signal, then it will be integration mod of xt square dt. It will be less than infinity. So there will have a finite energy. So when mod of xt, integration of mod of xt is finite, then integration of mod of xt square is also finite. That can be proved, but I'm not going to the proof. So when mod of xt, its integration is finite, then mod of xt square, its integration is also finite. So it has a finite energy. It means that the signal xt must be an energy signal. So if it is an energy signal, then that condition is automatically satisfied. It is absolutely integrable. For a periodic signal, it will be what? It should be integrable, absolutely integrable over one cycle. If you can remember, I told you already, it should be absolutely integrable for one cycle. It means our power is calculated based on one cycle for a periodic signal. So the signal must have a finite power, or the signal will be a power signal. Okay. So that is the Dirichlet condition for the Fourier series. But here it is a Dirichlet condition for Fourier transform. Clear? আমি তোমাদের একটা অ্যাডভাইস করব যে তোমরা you should go on studying this subject thoroughly and you should solve problems, okay, from different sources of the books. কারণ আমি বলছি তোমরা ভবিষ্যতে যারা হায়ার স্টাডি করবে বিভিন্ন জায়গায়, ভালো দেশে এবং বাইরে, দেশের বাইরে, তোমরা জানিয়েই হায়ার স্টাডি করো না কেন, দেখবে যে ওখানে সাম এলিমেন্টস অফ সিগন্যাল প্রসেসিং লাগবেই লাগবে। হ্যাঁ, আমি যারা তোমরা হায়ার স্টাডি করবে আর কি, যারা হায়ার স্টাডি করবে না, চাকরিতেও থাকবে এবং করে কাজ করবে, তাদের কারো কারো ক্ষেত্রে, অবশ্যই সবার নয়, কিন্তু কার হবে আর হবে না আমরা জানি না, সেখানে যারা বিশেষ করে তোমার বিভিন্ন ল্যাবে বা বিভিন্ন ডেভেলপমেন্ট ডিজাইনে অ্যান্ড ডেভেলপমেন্টে কাজ করবে, সেখানে কিন্তু সিগন্যাল প্রসেসিংটা খুব একটা এখনকার দিনে একটা এলিমেন্টাল ব্যাপার। ধরো আমি একটা এক্সাম্পল দিই, ধরো কেউ মনে করছে যে আমি মেশিন নিয়ে পড়াশোনা করব, ইলেকট্রিক্যাল মেশিন। এবার মেশিনের স্পিডটা কি করে এস্টিমেট করে? তোমরা ল্যাবে এক্সপেরিমেন্ট করলে দেখবে, তোমরা তো করার সুযোগ পাওনি, ফলে এটা করেছো কিনা আমি জানি না, যে একটা মোটরের স্পিড আমরা কি করে দেখি? মোটরের শ্যাফটে আমরা একটা ট্যাকোমিটার লাগিয়ে দিই, just we connect one tachometer. When the shaft rotates with some RPM, that speed is displayed in the tachometer. But there are many other alternative way of displaying motor speed. How? From the pattern of the motor current, armature current of a motor, from the period as the motor rotates, the rotor rotates, there is a periodic current found in the armature. So from the pattern of the armature current, if the current is analyzed, the speed of the motor can be estimated. So this is called sensorless control of motor. We don't connect any sensor. Tachometer is a sensor. There are many other type of sensors. There are emitter sensor arrangement using LED, shaft encoder, many other sensors are there. But without the help of these sensors also, from the pattern of armature current of a motor, just by applying some signal processing algorithm, we can measure the speed of the motor. So there are many other options are there. In biomedical instrumentation, if you want to know the condition of a heart, the periodic displaying of ECG, electrocardiogram, you can estimate the condition of heart. So a lot of signal processing is there. So signal processing is omnipresent, almost everywhere. So we don't know whether you have to apply it or not. So it's better that you study this subject thoroughly and read all the past notes, okay, thoroughly to grasp the concept and go on solving different problems. For your assignments and exams, that will not be a problem, because these will be all, till now the condition is such that we have to go through some assignment based method for examination. Till now, I don't know what will happen in future. Okay, it may change also, but for the examination, it will not be a problem at all. Okay, you will get good marks and everything. Okay, we are giving a lot of marks, actually unprecedented amount of marks we are giving. So that's not a problem. The thing is that once you grasp it thoroughly, you will be benefited very much in future. Okay, now I go to the discussion. Now so it is the first condition, that is the signal must be absolutely integrable. First take the absolute value and find out whether its integration gives us a finite value. If it gives us a finite value, it is integrable. Now condition number 2, xt must have finite number of maxima and minima in any finite interval. So whenever there is a finite interval, take any interval arbitrarily, within that interval, if there are maximum minimum values there, local maximum, local minimum, then these will be the number of maximum minimum will be finite. So that is automatically satisfied for the signals that we encounter in engineering. But in mathematics, there are signals that where even in a small interval, there can have infinite number of maximum minimum values. But this type of functions are not coming in our context. So 3, xt must have finite number of discontinuities in any interval. In any interval. In any interval. So again, the finite number of discontinuities will be there in any interval. So for us, this condition is automatically satisfied. So these are the Dirichlet conditions. Okay. Next, now we want to concentrate on the Fourier transform itself, step by step. So next is polar and rectangular form of, that is a Cartesian form. So now we continue our discussion, polar and rectangular form of Fourier transform. Now we know our xg omega is integration xt to the power minus g omega t dt. So this we already got here. See, x j omega is integration xt to the power minus j omega dt, Fourier transform of xt. So just this relation now from now on we have to remember. So that can be written as xt into cos omega t minus j sine omega t dt. We can write it xt cos omega t dt minus j xt sine omega t dt. So that is equal to r omega plus j I omega, where r omega equal to xt cos omega t dt and our I omega is minus, we are taking minus sign inside. So it is xt sine omega t dt. So minus sign is taken here inside. Clear? So that is that. Now go to the next page. So this is the real part of Fourier transform, and that is the imaginary part of Fourier transform. Now, one more thing I want to say here, that the real part of Fourier transform is nothing but the cross correlation of xt and cross correlation of xt and cosine function at zero lag. So the degree of similarity of xt with respect to the template function cosine is reflected in the real part of Fourier transform. On the other hand, I omega is the reflection of the cross correlation or degree of similarity between xt and the template function sine omega t. So if our xt is an even function, it will be very similar to the cosine function and it will be of no similarity to the sine function. So the degree of similarity will be 0 when xt is odd, because sine omega t is an odd function. So when xt is even, its degree of similarity with sine function will be 0, because xt even but sine function is odd. So degree of similarity is 0. So if we calculate, we'll find out that I omega will be 0. After calculation, we can get, what I am telling is conceptually. Mathematically, it will come. Just I'll tell you later. Just very shortly today. Similarly, when xt is odd and cosine function even, then its degree of similarity will be 0. Okay, so its r omega will be 0 when xt is odd. But I omega will be non-zero. It will have some relatively high value. Okay, so Fourier transform is a combination of the degree of similarity of xt between cosine function and sine function separately, and in a combined form it is presented in a complex way. Okay, in a complex form. So now we go to the, so the note that what I am trying to say always, you should note that thing, that it is not a mathematics class. Signals and systems, it is not a mathematics class. It is the class of conceptual understanding. Every integration, differentiation, other algebraic operation, everything, you have to think and understand in a conceptual plane, not mechanically in a mathematical order. So that's why what is given here, it's not a mathematics class. It's an engineering class on engineering. So you have to feel conceptually what's really happening in the background. So now it's page 5. So now we know, therefore, our x j omega equal to r omega plus j I omega. So that we can write it as x omega angle phi omega, or x omega e to the power j phi omega, where x omega equal to mod of x j omega. It's modulus. Okay, so the mod of this, so it's square root of that, and phi omega is tan inverse I omega by R omega as principal value. But when they are in the other quadrant, accordingly the value will come. I am not writing it now. Okay. So this is our, so x omega is the magnitude spectrum. X omega versus omega, it is the magnitude spectrum or amplitude spectrum. I already told you. And phi omega versus omega, it is phase spectrum. So this is the rectangular form, polar form, and exponential form of Fourier transform of a signal xt. Okay. Our next thing is symmetry underlying in Fourier transform. Even when X3 has no symmetry at all. What is that? So here you see our xt is any function. It is neither even nor odd. It has no symmetry at all. Still, we will find out some symmetry property in the Fourier transform. Let's see. Now we know our R omega is integration xt cos omega t dt. I already told you, say here. So that is our R omega. Xt cos omega t, and I omega is minus of xt sin omega t. Okay, we'll write it later. Therefore, what is R minus omega? Omega is replaced by minus omega. It is, we write it xt cos minus omega t dt. But cos minus theta is cos theta. Which is what? Which is R omega. We can write R minus omega equal to R omega. This is even function, even of omega. So it is always even. So our xt is neither even nor odd. Xt has no symmetry, but the real part of Fourier transform is always even in frequency. Therefore, we can say that real part of xt omega is always an even function of omega. Always an even function of omega. Again, now we see I omega. It is minus xt sin omega t dt. Therefore, I minus omega equal to minus, just put minus omega for omega. Okay, or minus and minus plus. Clear? So now I write it in the next page. Page number 6. Therefore, which is odd of omega. So always we know that the imaginary part is an odd function আচ্ছা তোমরা আমার কথা শুনতে পাচ্ছ হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ স্যার, হ্যাঁ স্যার।
হ্যাঁ হঠাৎ হঠাৎ নেটে ডিসকানেকশন হয়ে গেল যাই হোক আমি আবার শুরু করছি so it was that we know our r omega is even and I omega is odd in frequency although xt has no symmetry property at all now what's about the magnitude x omega it has been proved here that x minus omega equal to x omega so it is even in omega. It means if we plot x omega versus omega, x omega is mod of x omega actually. It is always an even function, whatever be the nature, always even. So the magnitude spectrum is always even as long as xt is real, as long as xt is real. Now, what's about phi omega? It is tan inverse I omega by r omega. So our phi minus omega is tan inverse I minus omega by r minus omega. So tan inverse minus I omega by r omega. Same logic, real part is even, imaginary part is odd. Minus tan inverse I omega by r omega or minus phi omega. Therefore, we can write phi minus omega equal to minus phi omega. সরে যাও এখন, সরে যাও, সরে যাও, সরে যাও তুবড়ি। So that is there. So it is always odd in omega. So if we plot phi omega versus omega, it will be always odd in nature, always. So that is the symmetry property which is underlying always in Fourier transform. Now we want to investigate one more thing. Here xt is not symmetric at all. But what happens if xt itself is symmetric in time domain? Then what will be its impact on Fourier transform? That we want to see right now. Because while solving problem, all these concepts will be very much important. Okay, let's see. So now we need signals. Okay, with even and odd symmetry in time domain. But one recapitulation should be there. That if ft, a signal, has even symmetry, then integration ft dt minus infinity plus infinity, it's even, means one side in the time axis is the mirror image of the other side. So it will be 2 into 0 to infinity ft dt. And if ft has odd symmetry, then integration ft dt, you know, antisymmetry means something like this one. So if it is phi t versus t, something like, then the area under the curve in one side is negative of the area in the other side. So total area will be 0. So it is 0. So this thing is well known already. I have discussed it long back when I used to discuss the symmetry property of a signal. So just recapitulation. Now, so once we know that thing, okay, we can apply this concept. If, okay, xt is real and even, you are writing it. If xt is real and even in t, then what will happen? Now r omega equal to integration xt cos omega t dt. Now it is real and even. It is even. Cos omega t is also even in time t. So even function into even function. Product is even. So we can write it. It is 2 into 0 to infinity. Okay. xt cos omega t dt. We know even into even function is even. Already I told you. And what is I omega? It is integration minus integration xt sine omega t dt. Now xt is even, but sine omega t is odd in t. Even into odd is odd, so result is 0. Even into odd is odd function, so result is 0. Therefore, our x j omega equal to r omega plus j I omega, or we can write our x j omega equal to simply r omega. But r omega is an even function of omega, we know. So it is even in omega. Therefore, we can say that when xt is real and even in t, x j omega is real and even in omega. So this is our conclusion. When xt is a real and even function in t, its Fourier transform x j omega is always real and even in frequency, because r omega is always even in frequency. I already told you just before. So I omega is 0. Next. Now, what if xt is real and odd in t, then what will happen? So next page number 8. If xt is real and odd in t, Now r omega equal to xt cos omega t dt. Now xt is odd, cos omega t is even. So odd into even is odd. So its integration will be 0. So even into odd is odd. And I omega. So it is what? It is odd into odd, that is even. So its integration is minus 2 into 0 to infinity xt sine omega t dt. So it is uh, odd into odd equal to even. That. So we can write xt omega equal to r omega plus ji omega. Okay, or xt omega r omega is 0, ji omega. So it is odd in frequency. I omega is odd function of frequency of omega. So you can write therefore when xt is real and odd in t, xt omega is imaginary, j is there, imaginary and odd in omega. Clear? Now, so we can say that any signal, we already know that for any signal, for any xt, it can be decomposed into one even component and odd component. That is probably our first class or second class. That was our probably first class or second class where we discussed it. So any signal can be decomposed into one even component and odd component. So when we take its Fourier transform, then its even component will give rise to the real part of Fourier transform. When it is even, we get r omega only. And when it is odd, we'll get I omega only. And that will be, xot will be given by j into I omega. Clear? So that is this. So when xt is neither even nor odd, then its even component will give rise to the real part of Fourier transform, and odd component will give rise to the imaginary part of Fourier transform. As a whole, we get a complex function of omega for the Fourier transform of xt. Clear? So once we know this particular thing, now we start solving some problems. Any query, any doubt? Because that thing must be clear, then only we can solve problem efficiently. Okay. So next page. Page number 9. Now some problem. Find the Fourier transform of the following signals and sketch their magnitude and phase spectra. Now A, xt equal to delta t. B, xt equal to e to the power minus atut. A is positive. C, xt equal to e to the power minus a mod t. Okay. and D. E to the power ATUT. A is this. So these are the different type of signals. We want to find out its Fourier transform. Now A, we know xj omega equal to first we plot xt, which is delta t. Now we put delta t here. Now we can apply shifting property. Delta t means what? T minus 0. So delta t means delta t minus 0. So when we write any function ft delta t equal to ft delta t minus 0, so that 0 will take its position. Okay. So it is f0 delta t. So already you know it's a shifting property. So we put t equal to ft. This is ft, say. So we put t equal to 0. So I already explained that shifting property. So it is integration e to the power 0, 1, which is equal to 1. So if we, and you see its imaginary part is 0. Note that our delta t is always an even function. So its Fourier transform is always real. As delta t is an even function, so note function xg omega is real. It has no imaginary part. So if we plot x omega, which is mod of xg omega, so it is already real, so no change. We'll get just equal to 1. So x omega is real and even in frequency. So it is a real and even. And what's about phi omega? Phi omega is simply 0 because its imaginary part is 0. Its imaginary part is 0. So we cannot verify whether it's even or odd. We cannot verify whether it's even or odd. Another thing you can say, one interesting thing, that delta t, it is, what is the width of delta function? It's just a single line along y-axis. So its width is 0. So delta t is the highest level of contraction, highest level of compression in time domain. I already told you that compression in time domain leads to expansion or the dilation in the frequency domain. So since it is compressed in time domain, highest level of compression is found in time domain. There is a highest level of dilation in the frequency domain. How? Because the signal is flat. All the frequencies are existing here by equal amount. All the frequencies are, for all omega, their values are same. So all the frequency components are contributing to equal extent. So it is the flatter than the flattest flat, you know, so it's a flat function. So highest level of compression leads to highest level of dilation, a flat function. Highest level of compression leads to highest level of dilation in frequency domain. What I told long back in the class conceptually is now verified here through problem. ক্লিয়ার? আগের ক্লাসগুলো কিন্তু অবশ্যই পড়তে থাকবে রেগুলারলি, না হলে যত এগোবো এবার কিন্তু অসুবিধা হতে থাকবে। যেগুলো আগে বলা হয়েছে জানবে, এমনি এমনি বলা হয়নি, তার কারণ আছে। ওকে, নাও নেক্সট প্রবলেম বি। Page number 10. Now, B is x j omega equal to integration xt to the power minus j omega dt. Now, what is our xt? It is e to the power minus at ut. It's a causal signal. So it is e to the power minus at ut, e to the power minus j omega t dt. Now ut is 0 for negative part of t, so it will 0 to infinity, and ut is here 1. So integrate it. So it is e to the power minus infinity, put t equal to infinity, e to the power minus infinity is 0, and t equal to 0, e to the power 1. So that is this. So we can write x j omega in various way, 1 by a plus j omega, or if we take the mod, so it will be 1 by square root of a square plus omega square angle minus tan inverse omega by a. So this is our x omega, that is the mod, and that is our phi omega. Okay, and we can write it. So this is that. Or also we can write it a minus j omega by a square plus omega square by multiplying it with complex conjugate. So it is a by a square plus omega square minus j omega by a square plus omega square. This is our r omega, and that is our I omega. So various way. You see our xt. So note, there are several note you have to see. Xt has no symmetry property. It is neither even nor odd. So note, there are some note. Note number 1. As xt has no symmetry in t, time domain. In time domain, x j omega is complex, is a complex function of omega. Okay. Second, the even component of xt gives rise to r omega, and the odd component of xt gives rise to I omega. So if graphically you find out it's even an odd component, exercise. So your exercise, plot graphically the even component xet of xt and odd component xot of xt. Plot. Then Fourier transform of xt will be our r omega. This r omega. And Fourier transform of xot, odd component, will be our I omega. It can be verified mathematically also. And it is a complex quantity therefore. Clear? This is our x omega, that is the mod of x j omega versus omega magnitude spectrum or amplitude spectrum, and that will be our phase spectrum. So better I plot it now in the next page. So I want to just say repeatedly that solving problems should not be the final objective. As you can think more, as you can hit the entire thing conceptually, your solution time will be drastically reduced. You can conclude a lot of things. And even in many other competitive exams, in GATE or in many other exams, IAS, IES, whatever be, other job, our entry level exam in the job, everywhere you can solve problem very fast. So conceptual understanding is of prime importance. So now if we plot x omega versus omega, x omega is 1 by square root of a square plus omega square. So this one, this is our x omega. So if we plot, the nature is not important, what you will get, it will be always even function. It's square of omega, omega square. So x minus omega will be x omega. So some nature will be there. The what is the nature is not important. By putting some values you can get it. Okay, and what is omega equal to 0? This is our x0. So our x0 is what? It is 1 by a. Put omega equal to 0. Note one more thing. What is our x omega? It is integration xt, it is e to the power minus j omega dt. Therefore, if we plot x0, put omega equal to 0. Now e to the power 0, 1. So it is area under xt. So this is a zero frequency term. Zero frequency term. So zero frequency term of the Fourier transform, term in Fourier transform. Zero frequency term in Fourier transform is nothing but the area of xt. It is nothing but the area of xt. So the area of xt is nothing but the zero frequency term. In other words, if you plot the area, say this is the area, you will get the area equal to 1 by a. And here also it will be x0 equal to 1 by a. Here x0 will be equal to 1 by a. So it's
Sir, your mic is muted.
oh yes. So what I tried to say, thank you. Its area in time domain is 1 by a, and frequency domain it is a zero frequency term, which is the area. This is also same 1 by a. So they are equal. So they are equal. Next, the phi omega versus omega, which is minus tan inverse omega by a. So we know when omega tends to infinity, we know as omega tends to infinity, phi omega tends to what? Tan inverse infinity 90 degrees, so minus 90 degree. As omega tends to minus infinity, so it will be minus of tan inverse minus infinity, so plus 90 degree. So ultimately it will be going to that one, minus 90 degree in the right side, plus 90 degree in the left side. So it is an odd function. This is the phase spectrum, this is the magnitude spectrum. Magnitude spectrum of xt and phase spectrum of xt. Yes. So as xt is real, sorry, as xt is having no symmetry, our xg omega is a complex quantity already told. Next problem. Okay, next problem is xt equal to e to the power minus a mod t. Now We know mod t equal to t when t greater than 0 and minus t when t less than 0. Therefore, e to the power minus a mod t equal to e to the power minus at when t is positive and e to the power at when t is negative. Therefore, our x j omega, the Fourier transform, can be found with this particular understanding. E to the power minus a mod t, we'll substitute it, or from minus infinity to 0 and from 0 to infinity. From minus infinity to 0, the time variable is always negative in that interval. So t is negative. So it will be e to the power at, this one, when t is negative. And from 0 to infinity, in that span, our t is always positive, the time variable. So mod t equal to t. So e to the power minus at. Or we can write plus complete. So now we integrate it in the next page, page number 11, page number 12. So this is so now you see, put t equal to 0, e to the power 0, 1, and t equal to minus infinity, 0, e to the power minus infinity. E to the power minus infinity 0 and t equal to 0, 1. This expression. Now we plot this. So if we plot it, it can be plotted here. In the right side, it is e to the power minus 1. In the left side, it is e to the power 80. Here t positive, here t negative. So e to the power negative always in both the sides. So it is xt. Note that it is an even function. Since it is even function, its Fourier transform is also real and even. It is real and even. Now omega square is there. So if you replace omega with minus omega, the expression will remain same. So it is real and even of omega. So as xt is real and even, xt omega is real and even in omega. So I omega is 0. So we can plot it easily. The x omega is mod of x omega, which is same actually. So if you plot it, some expression will be there. It will be even function, magnitude spectrum. Okay, and what's about x0 term? X0 put omega equal to 0. So it is 2 by a. 2 by a. And note that here what it will be. This area, total area is what? Total area equal to 1 by a. Sorry, 2 by a. 1 by a and 1 by a. 2 by a. It is 2 by a. Okay, it is 2 by a. Which is reflected here also. 2 by a, the zero frequency term. Clear? Our last problem. D is xt equal to e to the power 80 ut. If we plot xt versus t, it will be something like e to the power 80. Now, if we integrate it, take integration mod of xt dt, what we'll get? E to the power 80. Mod has no meaning because it's already real and is positive. So it is ut 0 to infinity e to the power 80 dt. So if you integrate it, the area, so it will tend to be, after integration, will get it to infinity. But so xt is not absolutely integrable. It violates Dirichlet condition. According to Dirichlet condition, it should be less than infinity. It should be finite. So its Fourier transform does not exist. Does not exist. But in all other cases, it's a divergent function. So its area is also becoming higher and higher as t increases. But in all such previous cases, you will get that they are the convergent function. So when you take mod of the signal, mod has no meaning special here because they are already real and positive. So we can omit mod here. So if we integrate them, already it will be, we'll get always it will be finite. Area under the function will be finite. It's a convergent function, a short duration function, a transient function. So they are convergent in nature. Then they are absolutely integrable in all such cases. Even that in delta function also, it is approaching towards infinity, but when you integrate it, integration of mod of delta d dt or integration of delta d dt is always 1, which is less than infinity. So for delta function also, it is absolutely integrable. It is absolutely integrable. So its Fourier transform exists. So it's not the value, it's all about the area under the mod function, absolute function, which is finite, and that is therefore Dirichlet condition exists and their Fourier transform exists, and we can find that. So when we are not sure whether a function is really absolutely integrable or not, first we have to compute it. Once we find out that, okay, it's fine, it's absolutely integrable, now you proceed. So next day, we will solve some more problems of different nature and something more on Fourier transform next day. Okay. So with this, now I conclude. Any question? No. Okay, I'll send the material right now. Thank you.